Good morning. We'll call a Pennington County Commission meeting for March 15th, 2016 to order. Stand for a moment of silent reflection. Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Troutman.
Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands
one nation,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next order of business is to review and approve the agenda. Does anyone have any changes they wish to make to the agenda? If not, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Buskerud,
Aye.
Farabee,
Yes.
Adcock,
Aye.
Troutman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes, motion carried. Next item is to the introduction of new employees. Nick?
Good morning, Nick Strude, HR Director for Pennington County. Today we have the pleasure of introducing 4 new employees, and the first one I'm going to ask to come up and talk a little bit to you is Kevin Carley. And Kevin took over our 911 dispatch center, and we're really excited to have him. And so this is his first meeting, so I'll have Kevin come up and say a couple words to you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Nice to meet you all. I'm very excited to be here. As probably most of you know, I have a background in public safety. I came from the Highway Patrol, where I was district commander there and oversaw operations for the western half of the state. I did that for the last 8 years, and I'm excited to have this opportunity. I'm excited to get to know the employees in the center and move the center forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Good morning, Leslie Jansen, the training administrator for Pennington County 911. We have 3 new 911 dispatchers. We have Courtney Arsenault, Matthew Ostendorf, and Lucas Tedford. They started with us on March 7th, and I'd like to wish Courtney happy birthday. Today is her birthday.
Oh, welcome.
Happy
birthday.
Any others, Nick? That's it. Well, welcome, and we look forward to seeing more of you. Thank you.
Okay.
Next item is the consent agenda. Holly?
Good morning, Commissioners. Holly Hennies, Commission Office Manager. For public notice, the Board of Commissioners uses a consent agenda to act on non-controversial and routine items quickly. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and vote of the Board. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of a board member or a citizen. Today's consent agenda contains the following items: approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of March 1st, 2016. Approval of the minutes from the special meeting of March 2nd, 2016. Approval of the vouchers in the amount of $1,861,639.07. Number 9 is to schedule a public hearing at 9:15 a.m. on April 5th, 2016 for general fund budget supplements SP 16-001, which is the state's attorney, Sheriff John T. Vukovich, and the Mountain Pine Beetle budgets. Number 10 is to set the Title III public comment hearing on April 5th, 2016 at 9:15 a.m., submitted by the Fire Administrator. Number 11 is to recognize and thank the volunteers for the month of February 2016 as submitted by Human Resources. Number 12 is to acknowledge the notice of intent to conduct a raffle on July 22nd, 2016 as submitted by the Performing Arts Center of Rapid City. And finally, number 13 is to approve the Memorandum of Understanding between SDSU and Pennington County to provide 4-H youth programming development for 2016, as submitted by myself.
Does anyone wish any of the items on the consent agenda removed?
Mr. Chair, 8, 10, and 13.
Items 8 and 13, any others?
8, 10, and 13.
Excuse me, 8, 10, and 13. Any others? If not, do we have a motion?
I'd like to approve the consent calendar with the exception of 8, 10, and 13.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, those in favor of the motion say, answer the roll.
Buskerud,
Aye.
Farabee,
Yes.
Hadcock,
Yes.
Troutman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes, motion carried. Item 8.
Rex Conrad. I have some questions regarding the vouchers. I guess my first question is I've got questions about some of these vouchers on here. Who am I asking the questions to? Is it to you folks, or is there somebody else, or what?
The county auditor is the official that processes all the vouchers.
Okay, so if I ask a question about a particular one here, are you folks gonna be able to answer it, or do I get an answer later, or what, how does this happen?
Let's just give it a try and you see what you.
I guess the first thing I got is that there's 80 individuals on this list here as far as just their names and an amount behind their names as far as what are they being paid for?
Where are you referring to? You need to help us understand
Okay.
where you're at.
I got this off the internet as far as the vouchers. There's, what was there, 8 pages of it, I think. And I guess I could just start down the first one, the first individual that's on there is Aaron Klapkin for $672.
He is a constable.
Okay.
And he's paid for delivering such things as subpoenas and
Okay, I figured.
notices.
Okay, how about a Bradley J. Borge?
So, Mr. Chair, may I ask him a question? So, what you really want to do is question a payroll?
Well, I don't know. The names are on here. I don't, I as a citizen,
Are you
I've got,
thinking we just pay people off the street?
well, that's what I was wondering, yeah. 'cause
Oh,
that-
come on.
Sir, on the internet, there's 80 more pages after that that shows every
Okay.
invoice with all the
Okay,
descriptions
okay,
of what they
okay.
actually are. That might help you
Okay,
with
that's
a
what-
lot more of your questions than just a name and a title.
Okay.
I think it was 87 pages more this time.
Okay,
Of
so,
vouchers.
so anybody can turn in a voucher and then it comes to you guys to get paid then, or how does that happen? I mean, you look like you were just about ready to just pay this whole voucher thing. When I've been here before, you just approve the vouchers and pay them all. To me,
isn't
that's
the way
not
it works.
what you're elected for, was it?
Mr. Chair, may I respond? It's indeed unfortunate that you don't understand how it works
Okay, well,
here.
that's what I'm here for. Tell me.
Okay, we are going to explain it, so please don't make those kinds of accusations to us. We run a very good financial situation here at the county. We have a great auditor who's very experienced, who looks at every single voucher and questions everything.
Okay.
So we are very definitely not paying people off the street.
Okay, so you're saying that it's the auditor's job to go through all these and determine whether
review.
they're good or bad? That's not what you were elected for?
No, we are not elected for that. That is what the auditor's job
So
is.
then, the auditor can approve this or that and whatever?
She doesn't approve. She reviews to make sure they're legitimate.
Okay.
We approve it.
And so how
we-
do you know that they're legitimate then?
Because I happen to trust a woman who has been in that office for many, many years, has successfully, every single year, gone through an audit that gives very high ratings. This is extremely unfortunate that you didn't come and find out what really happens in the government.
I've been there, I've been here for the last 5 meetings.
And have you bothered to ask any of us how it works?
I'm here right now for them.
Okay, we're trying to tell you.
Okay, well then, so what you're saying is all these names on this list then have been approved by her,
She's been reviewed.
Been reviewed.
She's reviewed all of them.
and you're gonna just blanket stamp them and go?
Well, you know what? I trust her.
Just a minute. Julie, could you tell the process and procedure to Mr. Conrad on our vouchers? first of all, and then I'll answer his second part, that we never look at these, we just believe that you're right.
Go ahead.
Every invoice that is put on a list is reviewed by the staff member that orders the service or the product. It's then reviewed by at least one other person in each department, and then they're written or signed and submitted by the department head. Then they come into our office and we audit them against practices and policies set by this board and every prior board as an accumulation. Then if there's any question as to whether they fit within that or within the statute or the contract, then we question the department head to see what we are or are not missing. And if we still feel it does not pass practices and policies, it comes to the board for special approval. Everything on the list is satisfied by practice and policy and is in the budget.
And Mr. Conrad, to answer your second question, yes, we look at them. And if we have any questions, we call the auditor ahead of time. So by the time we've looked, because we have 8 or 10 sometimes on there that I talk with the auditor or Holly about, and then Holly finds out the answers if I have any questions. So by the time I get up here, I don't just rubber stamp them. I've actually looked and asked the questions beforehand. Does that make sense, sir?
Great, can I ask a question then? This past one, these 8 pages or 80 pages or whatever I'm supposed to have here. Were there questions from these folks to you about any of these?
Yes, there is. As
Okay.
well as they're all a public document. You can come up to our office
Okay, so
anytime.
can I ask which ones they had questions about?
I don't keep a list, sir. I don't keep a list, if I may. I don't keep a list of who calls on what vouchers. Commissioners call all the time. George is very good. Carol's very good. We get questions from Deb. All the commissioners, these are all public documents that are filed in our office, and you can certainly come up and look at them at any time. There's so many bills that go through, I don't recall what each one is for specifically, but if you're interested, you can certainly set up a time and come and look through them all.
Okay, I thought that's what this was for though, is I could ask questions and my questions get answered. So if I ask a question about one particular bill, like American Inn Motel here for $1,034, you can't answer my question.
If I may?
Yes.
If you're interested in what that one is for, you can come up to our office and we can pull that voucher and you can see what it's for
Okay,
yourself.
so you're gonna go ahead and pay that today, even though I'm asking a question about it?
Yes, we are. Because you haven't taken your time to come up and
I
look
took
at
my
it.
time right here. I mean,
And I'm telling you, the
that's-
process, no, excuse me, sir. The process is if you want to come up and look at a voucher, it's public information and you can do that.
Well,
It's
it
not
looks to
our
me-
job
looks
to
me like-
remember what 4,000 invoices look like, but you can certainly come up and look at them.
Okay, then.
Normal
then
hours, 8 to
what
5.
advantage then if I do question that particular voucher right there?
You're questioning at the wrong time, sir. You need to call our office, set up a time to come look at them.
Which
Okay,
your
so then-
commissioners
Which is the
do as
policy
well.
that I
I'm
believe
confused,
you
then why-
approved.
Then why is this open right now for me to ask these questions? How come it was put, the vouchers on the thing here if it's gonna be just your
Because the
rubber
board
stamp?
has to approve them.
Why?
It's
why-
not a
why are
rubber
we- Why are
stamp,
we going
sir.
through this?
Because, again, what Nancy said, we trust our
I guess what
auditor.
I'm saying is, how can you put that much trust in one person when I elected you to watch how my money's being spent for taxes?
That doesn't make sense, sir.
It doesn't make sense? I'm asking the
27,
question.
when you do your job, do people trust that you do your job?
Yeah.
Okay, then I trust her that she does her job, and then I question her when some of those things aren't making sense, just like you would your job. But I can't remember every one on here, but I did question, actually with Holly, some of the things that I didn't understand. So that's what your job is to learn from
Okay,
us
that's-
how hold on, what the process and procedure is, and then we tell you, call Julie. If you have 10 items, it's open government. Julie's gonna tell you everything you need to know. Then, when you don't get it, then you come to us. Or
Okay,
she says, Mr. Conrad, hold on, sir, called us on these 10 items. He's going to bring them forward, and he's going to question them. So we're telling you here the process and procedure. If you want to know, you call the auditor, because this is her job. Then if we have a question, we do the same thing, because we believe Miss Julie does a great job, and her team of people, sir, are awesome. And if you go in there, you will figure that out real quick. She will answer it to the T. And she knows her stuff. That's why we trust her.
Okay?
I might add, sir.
But you're allowed to ask any question you want anytime, sir.
I'm doing right
But
now.
we don't know all what you're talking about today.
You're the ones that I elected to watch this. I mean, I don't understand. I mean.
Okay,
you're
then,
not doing your
I
job.
say, Mr. Conrad, you go up there and you tell me which one out of those 80 things you remember. And then you come back and you repeat it, and you don't get all that information,
Okay.
and then you tell
We're-
us.
We're going to stop this dialogue.
Well, he's not getting it, sir. It's a process and procedure that we have in government for open government.
Can I ask
That's
one
how we
other
do it,
question then?
sir.
How come you just changed this here recently about the vouchers where you guys can't ask questions about the vouchers?
That isn't true.
What are we doing now, sir? He pulled it off.
Okay, how about you guys? I mean, I don't hear anybody asking questions.
Are you
How about
talking George?
No, right here.
Okay, the process is exactly as Commissioner Hadcock explained. If you have a question, you go to either Holly or the auditor as a commissioner prior to the meeting.
I understand that. I
Prior
understand
to the meeting.
Okay,
Okay,
And
sir.
it's satisfied.
We're going to end this now. And just to assure you, the state auditor general has staff in the building right now verifying that our auditor and that office have followed all the procedures required by state law. And in that respect, somewhere along the line, we will get a report back from them on any discrepancies that might be found in the process. So I think the interests of the public are being insured and guaranteed by that process. Do we have a motion on item 8?
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we approve the vouchers as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. Come forward.
My name is James Bialotta. I also have some questions on the vouchers. Now, I'm being told that I can ask the auditor at any time about these vouchers. However, the auditor's out of state for half the year in Maricopa County.
Mr. Chair, this is inappropriate.
I agree. We're going to close the discussion. We have a motion and a second.
That was my only comment, sir. Do I not have the floor?
No.
No, not now.
So I'm
I'm
being,
going to ask you to please remain, go back to your seat.
so this is not.
I'm asking you to go back to your seat.
I think you're out of order, sir. I haven't even.
I'm
asked my
asking
question
you
about
to
my
sit
vouchers.
down.
Fair enough. I think the voters need to know this come election day. And Lindell, I think your number's up.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I believe that if this is the kind of testimony that is going to happen, it is indeed unfortunate. We have today gone very low in our civility, in our ability to work together with the citizens. And it's indeed unfortunate that there are those who cannot listen to us because you expect us to listen to you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Chair, I have a comment, please. I heard what you said.
Motion
On the motion?
I do, and we're talking about the vouchers. State law says that we, the Board of Commissioners, are tasked with superintending the fiscal concerns of the county. I haven't been able to find a similar passage in the chapter that talks about the auditor. So I guess if we're going to proceed as we have, then we need to go to the legislature and change the law. In the meantime, we should follow the law. Once again, our job is to superintend the fiscal concerns. 1.861 million is quite a bunch of money. Thank you.
So I'll ask again, on fiscal concerns, what part aren't we following, by the way, George?
Every single dollar, this is, all we've been doing is rubber stamping this document.
You have.
The Board of
You
Pennington
say
County.
no. You say no without
Excuse me,
questions.
you gonna let me answer or not?
Okay. End of discussion. Roll call.
Buskerud,
Yes.
Farabee,
No.
Hadcock,
Aye.
Troutman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes. Motion carried. Item 10.
Good morning, Denny Gorton, Pennington County Fire Administrator. Item number 10 is simply to set a public comment period at the April 5th meeting, hopefully at 9:15 in the morning. The use of Title III funds does require a 45-day comment period. We published that in the newspaper by law. It was published on, I believe, December 30th. And I just inadvertently, and I apologize for that, forgot to put it, I believe, on the February 16th commission agenda, which would have been the 45-day comment period. You simply open the meeting, ask for any comments from the public. If there are none, just it's noted in the official minutes, and that's all the comment period is. We have not received any written comments. I don't believe, have we, Holly? Nope. So we're just trying to schedule the hearing, the public comment period for April 5th.
Any questions from the commission?
No, Mr. Chair, this was just merely a harmless error.
sorry?
Just an oversight on your part is all this was.
I just inadvertently forgot to put it on the agenda, yes.
Thank you.
Anything else? Do we have a motion?
I move to set the Title III public hearing on April 5th, 2016 at 9:15 a.m.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion on the motion. Roll call.
Buskerud,
Aye.
Farabee,
Yes.
Hadcock,
Aye.
Troutman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes. Motion carried. Item 13.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Matthew Olson, SDSU Extension 4-H Youth Program Advisor for Pennington County and identified as the Department Head for Extension in Pennington County. I'll be able to answer any questions about the 4-H program in Pennington County if you have them, and hopefully Holly has worked with SDSU directly on the memorandum of understanding, so hopefully she'll be able to answer specific questions about that.
Okay. Holly, do you have any comments?
Commissioner Farabee pulled it. I guess we'll let him speak what his concerns are.
Unless there's some place here in the fine print about a limit on expenditures, I obviously have to vote no, but it says here the Board of County Commissioners agrees to reimburse the 4-H advisors for official use of their personal vehicles, meals, lodging, so on and so forth. Is there any limit, or is this a blank check?
It's set by the budget that's approved by the commission every year.
So it's a blank check up to the amount that we set.
Also, with the Extension Advisory Board is tasked with approving the expenditures before it even gets to the Board of Commissioners. So 2 sets of checks and balances up to the amount that the commissioners set. If they feel something's inappropriate, they'll pull it. If the Board of Commissioners feels something inappropriate, it's their job to pull it and question it as well.
Anything further?
I'm opposed to it. It's kind of a blank check. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
okay, you know, we're going to be heading into budgeting pretty soon, and that's the time when we really ask questions. So I hope that Commissioner Farabee is better this year at asking questions, because he did approve the budget for last year. So I'm looking forward to him asking questions this year in our budget hearings so that he is more comfortable, since we have already approved these expenditures.
Do we have a motion on item 13?
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between SDSU and Pennington County to provide 4-H youth development for 2016.
Second?
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Roll call.
Buskerud,
Yes.
Farabee,
No.
Hadcock,
Aye.
Troutman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes. Motion carried. Item 14. The Pennington County Board of Mental Illness and Board of Review appointments.
Good morning, Commission members. I believe you have in your packet the material that I provided to Holly about appointing 2 board members. I know the last time I was here and I asked for an appointment of this nature, Commissioner Hadcock pointed out to me that she'd already read the material, so I'll just cut to the chase. Are there any questions you have about the materials that were presented to you in your packet? And if not, I hope you'll approve those appointments.
Any questions for Greg? See, we have Terry Phelps, is that correct?
That is correct.
And Cindy Brown.
Correct.
Let's see. Any questions by the commission? Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to accept the application of Terry Phelps and Cindy Stolte Brown as members on the Board of Mental Health.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. I would just comment that we thank these people for stepping forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Do we have a motion? Or a roll call? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Buskerud,
Yes.
Farabee,
Yes.
Hadcock,
Aye.
Troutman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes. Motion carried.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, next item is item 15. And I would point out that's the construction permit for Crow Ready Mix. And the item on the agenda is to continue this to the next hearing on April 5th.
That'd be my motion.
Second?
Motion is second. Discussion on the motion.
Got a comment
On the motion,
on the continuance. Yes.
Name is Dwayne Abata. I live out in Wilderness Canyon Road. I wonder if it's possible that we might...
speak into the mic so...
Sorry. I wonder if it's possible that we might have a stop work order. Work continues on the Kroll gravel pit. It is an illegal operation because the construction permit is not in place. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call?
Buskerud,
Aye.
Farabee,
Yes.
Hadcock,
Aye.
Troutman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, item 16.
That'd be me.
And Commissioner Hadcock, these are your items.
Thank you. I visited with a few people, the planning department and a few others, and at this point, we started to do a new ordinance on mining permits. So at this point, this was before Kroll had came up, we'd like to, I believe as a commission, do a temporary zoning ordinance regulating construction permits and mining permits in all zoned areas, not just A1 general ag. And this would be for about 6 months, and the date of the memorandum shall be, or the moratorium shall be expired October 5th, 2016, unless otherwise extended by law. So We would like to work on those permits for mining and make sure that the regulations are reasonably address concern for the public health, safety, and welfare of the people. And that's where I'm going with this.
Okay. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I don't know quite where this is appropriate, but I would like to address Mr. Abada's concern. How are we going to do that? Can we do that in this subject matter, or?
This is about a temporary
Yeah,
zoning ordinance to a moratorium.
yeah.
But I don't know if you can put that in on this. Jay can tell us. I don't know anything about the illegal construction permit. I know they don't.
I think we have someone here that can comment on that.
Jay Alderman with the State's Attorney's Office. It wouldn't, taking up that matter wouldn't be a part of this agenda item. And I guess I'd have to rely on planning and zoning if you had a question on who's currently active out there at the mine site. But that wouldn't be a part of this agenda, no.
Okay.
If I understand it, Commissioner Hadcock would like to see that ordinance with regard to the mining amended to include all districts, not just the ag.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, clarify for me, if you would, please, at the bottom of the draft ordinance, in both cases, indicates publication dates, March 23 and 24, first reading, April 5th. Is that, what's the implications of that?
Correct, sir. The requested motion today is to approve moving forward with these two proposed ordinances, which will trigger the required advertising, legal notice advertising. Statute says we publish it once, 10 days prior to the public hearing, which is indicated by that March 23rd. We publish in the Rapid City Journals on Wednesdays, and then the two other weekly newspapers for Pennington County are published on Thursdays, hence the 23rd and 24th. So then that would put us to the April 5th public hearing, if the board so chooses to move forward with this.
Okay, so the motion, if we have one, can it embody both 663 and 664? And,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Unless
So-
the board wants to act on both ordinances separately. All we're doing is the motion to move forward and publish.
Yep,
I think we want to do them separate. PJ wants to speak on the second one, sir.
okay. You proceed, Jim.
Okay, so my motion would be to do a temporary zoning ordinance regulating construction permits and mining permits in all zoned districts.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion on the motion.
Mr. Chair, I've got a question for our state's attorney. Are we on firm legal ground?
Yes.
Oh.
Any other questions or comments?
Let me ask the question another way. Since we currently have comprehensive plan and an adjunct planning and zoning ordinance, does SCCL 11-2-10 apply?
Jay Alderman with the State's Attorney's Office. In my opinion, it does. Anytime you are looking to do a new ordinance or amend the comprehensive plan or engage in studies on what you already have, which is what is going on here with the mining, and I think the other one, it would be a new ordinance altogether. I think that 11-2-10 fits exactly into that purview. So yes, I believe we're on good ground. I'm interested to hear, I know very little about the other ordinance study with regard to the solar or wind. So, but otherwise, yes, you're doing what you can do. The legislature intended for you to do exactly this when you feel there's something that needs to be studied. If you feel there's a flaw in a current ordinance or comprehensive plan, If you haven't studied and you don't know what's going on with regard to the other, and you want to make sure in public interest, health, safety, and welfare, you have something in place that appropriately regulates that, that's exactly what that statute is intended to give you the authority to do. Shut things down, figure it out, do what you need to do in the best interest of the public, and move forward.
Mr. Chair, if I might, obviously, I'm fully on board with what the intent is. Sadly, we need to look at the law, and 11-2-10 says, to me, the operative words are for the purpose of considering a comprehensive plan. Since we have a comprehensive plan, I disagree with the state's attorney, the deputy state's attorney, that is, in this matter. Thank you.
Commissioner Farabee, I have to disagree. This says temporary zoning controls. This is 11-2-10, notice in public hearing required, duration of controls renewal. If a county is conducting or in good faith intends to conduct studies within a reasonable time, or is holding a hearing for the purpose of considering a comprehensive plan, the board, in order to protect the public health, safety, and general welfare, may adopt as an emergency measures a temporary zoning ordinance and map and a temporary subdivision ordinance, the purposes of which are to classify and regulate uses and related matters as constitutes the emergency. Before adoption of the renewal, it says all about the hearings and stuff. So what we're saying in the comprehensive plan is we'd like to change how we do the comprehensive plan or the zoning in the comprehensive plan for mining and construction permits. So I believe and trust that, and have done this before in the city. So many times when we needed to find and get done with regulating things that maybe we had missed or we didn't put in those comprehensive plan or zoning ordinances.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chair, one more time. This is for the purpose of considering a comprehensive plan. About 20 years ago, this county, the ordinance, comprehensive plan and ordinance were declared null and void by the Supreme Court because they weren't instituted properly. In the interim, the county did adopt temporary zoning controls. And to me, that's the intent of this statute. Thank you.
Well, Commissioner Farabee, you tell me what you'd like to do with this ordinance to change it so we can get those mining permits and construction permits so they are for the health, safety, and welfare of the people. Because at this point, we missed the boat a little bit, or actually a lot. And now we have a huge issue that we believe we need to constitute in a way in order to help people, which is our job. So you tell me, it's easier to shut something down and say it's not the law, but with no solution. And I'll keep saying that. You're your worst enemy on that, George, because your job is to find solution, Mr. Commissioner Farabee, for this. If this wasn't working and this didn't work for you, bring forth a solution that you believe is law and will work for what we're trying to do. And I'm good with that, sir. Thank you.
Okay, anything further, Jay?
And just in case there's any confusion, these temporary zoning controls would not be intended on the mining one, would not be intended to affect the current application
Yes,
appeal.
sir.
It's not stopping that. That's proceeding. It's all future permits and so forth, so.
Or anything that would bring forth a expansion at this time past the 204 acres. We need to make sure that we are at least regulating and not taking in the concerns of the people and the neighbors of Pennington County.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Chair, let me respond one more time. Once again, I certainly agree with the intent. My concern is that we are obligated, our first job is to apply the law as written. And I don't think, in my case, reading what I read out of there, I don't agree that this is a proper procedure. Do I have the answer going forward? No. But I will say this. When the comprehensive plan was adopted however many years ago, whatever faults were made in that document, we should not now correct them by breaking the law again.
Commissioner Farabee, that comprehensive law, excuse me, sir, just for a second. When you do a comprehensive plan, I haven't seen one followed yet. So it's based on politics and people. So when you have a comprehensive plan, you tell me which part of that's been followed since you've been a commissioner here in Pennington County. Because when people come and you say property rights, you'll change it to whatever zone they want, and you have, George, so, Commissioner Farabee. So that's nonsense.
Roll call vote, please.
Buskerud?
Yes.
Farabee?
No.
Hadcock?
Aye.
Troutman?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes, motion carried. Next item is 664. Same process. Focal point is solar energy. Commissioner Hadcock, you have the floor.
This one would be PJ, and then, yes, I brought some of this forward, but PJ's got this down.
Well, since we're doing a moratorium for mining and construction permits, we figured it'd probably be a good idea to also do one for the solar farm ordinance, following the same timeline as the construction permits and the mining permits, with the first reading on April 5th, with publications prior to that on the 23rd and 24th of March, effective date on April 5th, so anything on that date or after would be subject to the moratorium. Anything that comes in prior to that would not. And so we're looking for a 6-month moratorium, which would end essentially on October 5th, unless it was extended by law. And just a reminder, you gave us permission to research a solar energy or alternative energy ordinance, because currently we do not have one. We could somewhat regulate one if it came in through building permits and a conditional use permit, but they have special circumstances, and we believe that a separate ordinance is warranted.
Mr. Chair, so, PJ, can you tell me, is there any other alternative energy besides solar, like wind and different things that we should be regulating in Pennington County that we need to add to your temporary zoning ordinance regulating?
Right now, we do have an ordinance for wind turbines.
Okay.
I don't believe we need to do a moratorium on it unless we'd like to edit it, but we do have systems in place for oversight through the county.
Okay, and we had those for permits, but we need to change some of those. So are we positive that we've covered?
Every situation is different, and it was written a little while ago.
So do we need to add that alternative energy instead of just putting solar energy to look at some of our
If
ordinances?
you'd like to, we can. I know you'd like to see those two combined into one ordinance with two separate sections in it. If that's what the commission would like to do, we have no problem with that.
Anything further? Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, just out of curiosity, how are we going to proceed in this 6 months?
I'm sorry?
How are we going to move ahead in this 6 months? Are we going to talk about, are you going to get a group of people together to review what should be, I just am curious about that.
The next step is to go before the planning commission to present to them what we have so far. A lot of them are already aware of the requests that are coming in and the questions that are coming in from solar companies. Right now, we're upwards of almost 1,700 acres in Pennington County that people are requesting for solar farms. That's as of last week. So I've already reached out to solar companies, asked them if they would talk with us and meet with us and give us some of their suggestion. Or reached out to all the power companies. They're all on board. One of them is actually building a solar farm inside the city limits as we speak, or at least proposing to. And we've reached out to all the different departments that we believe would we would need some input from. And everybody is on board and everybody's offering to help.
Okay.
Okay, anything further? Do we have a motion? You do have a motion?
Well, I just want to maybe ask Commissioner Hadcock, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair. Do you want to do both and combine them?
Yeah, the alternative energy will be, so we cover it all, and since we're doing the mining, and you know me by now, Commissioner Troutman, that I will be involved with this, just because I don't tell somebody to do something and not get in there and help and learn a little bit more, or a lot more about what we're doing. So
So what we would need to do, Mr. Chair, wouldn't it be that we need to change a little bit of the wording? We're not actually voting on this right now, but, or is it okay to just leave it as is and then direct them to move towards
I would put alternative energy in case we find anything else in there that we could put in that ordinance.
Maybe you could also call out section 317 specifically, which is our wind energy systems ordinance.
So we could put wind and solar? We don't have any other alternative energy coming our way that we need to regulate?
Nothing that we know of right now.
I guess that's why I'm saying maybe making an alternative energy section, and then we just put wind, solar, or anything else comes up in that. Make sense?
It does. If you want to put a moratorium though on wind energy, I would like it if you called out section 317 specifically, just so there's no confusion.
So how would you read?
We have an active ordinance on that.
So tell us how you would read that on your,
Could propose that any new permits and or approval of land uses for proposed solar energy systems or permits associated with section 317 of the Pennington County zoning ordinance, just off the cuff there.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I don't have a problem with any of these, except, you're just putting yourself a lot of work in the next 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, we can always extend that time period if you want to, but boy, you're building up a lot of work for yourself in the next 6 months.
Commissioner Buskerud, I will help. And I think when we look up stuff, the city can help us on some of this and take a lot of that burden off us, and they have before about some of their regulations. So again, we are matching, which we usually do with a lot of our stuff, the city's ordinance and regulations. But thank you.
So where do we want to go here?
I'd like to propose a temporary zoning ordinance regulating solar energy and section 317 in the Pennington County, in all Pennington County zoning districts. I don't know if I said that quite right, but I think I put, did I say it right? Go ahead, BJ.
I would just work off of what's read here. Authorize a 6-month moratorium on issuance of any permits and or approval of land uses for proposed solar energy systems or permits associated with section 317 of the Pennington County zoning ordinance.
That'd be my motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion on the motion.
Mr. Chair, I don't know where they're finding the authority for a 6-month moratorium. Can somebody help me with that?
It's easy. If you read the law, it says up to 2 years.
Well, where does it say that?
Right at the end of the sentence.
It says, Jay Alderman with State's Attorney's Office, it says up to 1 year or can be renewed for another year. So Commissioner Buskerud's exactly on point. It can be up to 2 years, so by implication, it could be a day, it could be a month, it could be anything up to 2 years.
Ordinance 11-2-10, again at the bottom.
But this is conditioned on the fact that you do not have a comprehensive plan. Pennington County has a comprehensive plan, therefore, these follow-on provisions are not applicable.
Mr. Chairman, this goes along with the same thing that we just had, the voucher argument. We hire people, we pay them good money to give us opinions. That's what we do. I trust that the law school that Jay went to is better than the law school that Commissioner Farabee went to.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, if I might, thank you, and I've been waiting a long time to say this. I went to the same law school that Abe went to. Thank you.
we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Buskerud?
Aye.
Farabee?
No.
Hadcock?
Aye.
Troutman?
Yes.
Peterson?
Aye. Motion carried. Item 17.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I'm Frank Carroll. This is my wife, Audrey Carroll. We are the guardians and conservators of Lauren May Carroll Poorbear. And Lauren is an essentially indigent person. She's currently committed to the Redfield Developmental Disability Center and will probably be there for a very long time. She has no income. She does, however, have orders from the 7th District Court. And if I may read just, it's a very short order, an order granting the co-conservators. We are Lauren's guardians without limitations. We're also her co-conservators. A petition for court approval to make wills, restrict contracts, authorize co-conservators to declare trespass, and authorization of co-conservators to enter premarital agreements, et cetera. It's a comprehensive authority for Audrey and I to help Lauren in her life. She has an IQ of less than 50 and she's unable to handle her own affairs. At present, she receives $733 a month from SSI, all of which goes to SDDC for her maintenance and care. When she was in Yankton, officials at Yankton advised her against our direction as her conservators and guardians that she should retain a lawyer in Yankton to see if she could get out of Yankton, which is something that naturally she wanted to do, because even though her understanding is limited, her understanding about her freedom is not limited. We spoke with the attorneys, we spoke with the officials at the facility, and we directed them not to expend any money on that cause, as there was no recourse for Lauren in that case under any conditions. They nevertheless proceeded ahead, and I believe the paperwork in front of you shows that the county now has a lien against Lauren for something in the neighborhood of $2,700 for expenses that were incurred that should not have been incurred, and for which Lauren has no possibility now or in the future to repay. And so we would ask and petition that the commissioners release the lien against Lauren Carroll.
I make a motion to release the lien against Lauren Carroll.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I do have a question. I'm not disagreeing with your
Sorry.
motion, Deb.
Wait.
Sorry.
Do we have a second to the motion?
I'll second it so we can talk about it.
Okay, go ahead.
I want it clarified again. I believe that we can forgive the health care costs, but can we forgive something that the court has put on here?
In this case, yes. It's not court
But in
ordered.
this case?
It's not
All right.
ordered to be paid to the courts.
Okay, then I'm good. I'm sorry.
No.
And I appreciate that. The key here is South Dakota Disabilities Center in Redfield, South Dakota.
Yeah.
That would be the key for me, releasing this lien.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Buskerud,
Yes.
Farabee,
Will abstain.
What's your reason? Commissioner Fairby?
I was going to ask Mr. Carroll if he wanted me to abstain. He's, several years ago, he said, well, he questioned my judgment, so I think I better just abstain. Thank you.
I
Hadcock.
appreciate that, thank you.
Hadcock.
I'm good. Thank you.
Hadcock,
Aye. Oh.
Troutman,
Yes.
George.
Peterson.
Yes, motion carried.
4 votes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying the reason, George.
Okay, item 18.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Vargo, Pennington County State's Attorney.
Morning.
This is really more in the nature of an information item, but I wanted the commission to be aware of it. We have, as the commission is aware, attempted to be supportive of our National Guard troops, and specifically Carla MacArthur Harris, who is one of my deputy state's attorneys, also serves as a captain in the Guard. Or I should say, as of this morning, served as a captain in the Guard because she is now fully deployed, and she is with the United States Army for the next at least 6 months, possibly 12 or 8, up to, by statute, up to 18. Her original orders were cut just until October, but it's my understanding that that is a budgetary thing, that's when their fiscal year ends and they can't yet cut budget orders going into the next year. She was told informally that it's probably most likely it'll be 12 months, but it could be 6 and it could be 18. We just don't know at this point. So I wanted the commission to be aware of that. I hope that the commission is cognizant of what we're attempting to do, again, in supporting our troops, and to let the commission know that I do intend to hire for her position. Obviously, when she returns, we have to, she comes back to us, obviously. So hopefully we'll be able to plan it out with minimal overlap between whoever her replacement is and her return. And hopefully we'll get a little more notice when she's coming home. They told us on Wednesday, she got her formal orders cut that she would be gone this morning, so. Wow. We had about 2 weeks' notice before then, but it was all sort of informal. Again, much the same way we've kind of received informal word as far as when her return is likely to be. So, happy to answer any questions you have, but I just kind of wanted to let you guys know about the situation.
Thank you.
Mr. Vargo, I understand that we are short in your budget already. I think we could all visit about the shortfalls and stuff beforehand, but I'm not opposed to this at all, by the way. But I just am looking at your supplements, and we probably need to, as a commission and with you, figure something out on some of that supplement. So I know it has to do with the other one I forgot to ask you, but we can discuss that.
Well, and that's the one that I believe is moved until April.
Yes, sir.
So
We have time.
I'm certainly happy to discuss that at that time and to talk to you ahead of that if you want to.
And get more information. That would be great, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'm opposed to any more hires, any backfill. Obviously, the priorities that the State's Attorney's Office appears to be pursuing aren't, I guess, productive for society. There's a number of individuals have been prosecuted, including myself, on no reason. There's an individual in the audience that I'd like to know how many man hours you spent essentially chasing jaywalkers. It's almost that bad, and youngsters don't know what jaywalkers are anymore. But when we were kids, people were prosecuted for jaywalking, and that's kind of what the State's Attorney's Office has become. So I'm obviously opposed to hiring any more attorneys, as I was back in the budget cycle. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thought you voted for it.
Next item is item 19.
Did we have a motion?
I don't think we.
No, that was
Don't need a
information
motion?
item.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good morning, Janet Saylor, County Treasurer. I've come back before the commissioners because I need to request that the commissioners allow me to hire 2 additional staff members that are not included in my budget. And I know I've spoke to some of you and you've had some questions for me, so I would like to go through some of those. Pennington County is now only a few of the counties in South Dakota that does not have a wheel tax, which makes it open season for all the people out of state as far as calling in here to wanting to register and switch their registrations to Pennington County. Those calls that come in from out of state take a minimum of 15 to 20 minutes to complete. We've also seen a large increase in customers with no vehicles registered in South Dakota, but they are seeking to title and register their off-the-road vehicles that their home states will no longer provide. The state has told us that we cannot refuse to license them. Last year, in 2015, my office received 8,900 calls for January and February. This year, in 2016, for the same 2 months, our calls have jumped to 15,929 phone calls, and 8,447 of those phone calls were from out-of-state people.
How many?
8,447 came in from out-of-state people for 60 days. Because of current employee issues that I have in my office, and these issues fall under FMLA, and we're mandated by law to hold those positions open for 12 weeks. We cannot replace those people. They have to have a job to come back to, which has put us under a lot of strain. I've reviewed several options, of which I am going to talk to you about, and I have an answer for the options. Turn off the phones during our extreme peak times between 11 and 2 when my people go to lunch, and 4 and 5 to focus only on those standing in line and the incoming mail. Because of the complaints coming in from the taxpayers that my people are on the phone and that they have to wait in line and they're there face to face taking off work. I believe that this would be the best for my staff, but it would not be a good alternative to the taxpayers of Pennington County or other departments trying to gain access to us. Another option we've talked about in our office is to close the whole office down from 12 to 1 and shut all the phones down for an hour and the whole staff go to lunch. That way, everybody would be there all day long. I don't feel this is a good option for the public, as many of the public are coming to our office during their own lunch hours for assistance, as well as other departments needing information and assistance during those hours. We have talked about limiting the amount of incoming calls that come into our office at one time. Currently, there are 46 possible lines coming into the county that allows for calls to keep coming through until it reaches its capacity. We are looking at, and we don't have an answer yet, we're working with IT, HR, and the telephone company to see if we could limit the lines coming into the treasurer's office to only 5 to 6 lines. I believe that that would be a valid choice, that those calling that do not get through would receive a busy signal and they would receive a message giving our hours and that we're at a peak time and that they will have to call back. There are times in my office when some of my people at the window have 3 calls on hold, plus they're waiting on a customer, and they can't get to those calls. So that is one of the better options, and we have not got an answer on that yet. Another option that has been asked of me is if we could utilize the assistance of other departments for peak times when available. Assistance is most needed to complete transactions that the employee would need extensive hours of training on and secure access to the state programming before they could ever assist us with that. They would just be a voice talking. They would still have to come to one of my employees to figure out how to answer the question, what the laws were, and how to proceed. We have decided that that option will not work because of the extensive training that it would take to train employees from another office and taking them out of their environment when they have their own work to do. We're requesting the approval to overhire by 2 FTE positions. I have one that was vacated in January, so that one would be filled, plus 2 others. We believe that the positions would be eliminated by natural attrition within the department that we have seen over the past 3 years. The additional staff positions would help with the known FMLA situations that will be occurring in our office for 2016 by having trained staff ready for any possible unknown staff shortage at that time. Currently, we are utilizing volunteers. The senior volunteers are coming in. They're approximately working 20 hours a week between them to keep up the filing and things that we just can't get to. It's difficult to determine the amount of county investment that it will entail because of the leave without pay, FMLA issues, and possible attrition sooner or later. You know, I plan to have a solid dollar for you guys in November. I am very frugal with money. For me to stand before you and say that I am going to try to absorb this would not be feasible at this time. I will do the best that I can, but my employees have got to have a break. They are sitting at that window listening to complaints 8 hours a day. People complaining about the license plates, the color, the way Washington looks, complaining because they're on the phone, complaining because they have to wait in line. they're getting burnt out. They are not allowed to take time off. Some of their vacations have been pulled. It's very hard for them to schedule doctor's appointments because the perception of the public is you have nobody working. One day I had 5 people out, and I can't tell people they can't come, they have to come to work when they have the flu. They're very stressed. We need help. I'm sorry, I did not realize when we started the budgeting process that things were going to get this out of hand with new issuance of plates, that people were gonna start coming to Pennington County because they didn't wanna pay $20 more in mead. We're very vigilant. We do not license for anybody that lives in that county. However, people from out of state can choose what county they wanna license in. So my request to the commissioner is that you allow me to overhire by 2 FTEs. And I have spoken to Nick about this. Nick and I have been talking. There is another option out there that I don't know if the commissioners are aware of, that we will have some overcollected revenues from the new law that goes into effect. The governor hasn't signed it yet. Where we will be getting titles will be going to $10 and $5 will be retained by the county now. Boat fees will go from $1 to $3. $2 is retained by the county. Liens will increase from 10 to 5, or I'm sorry, from 5 to 10. So we'll get another $5 there. And just by using the figures from 2015, it should generate another $139,000 in revenues for the treasurer's office.
Any questions for Janet?
Mr. Chair, for Janet, I'm not opposed to this, but I'd like to talk to the auditor on a couple of things that have been on this agenda today, yours and another, our state's attorneys, just to see where our budget is at for the future and where, if we have to hire to, where we would be able to take those and afford those in our budget this year. So again, I'm not against what you're saying. I would just like to work with the auditor, or I'm pretty sure our commission, to see where our revenues are at and our money.
And I think it could come from over-collected revenues because this law change, no one knew was going to happen.
Right. And not, like I said, I'm not opposed, I just, and she would know that, right? From the over-collected revenues, and then we could work with you in order to get where you're going, because I've seen the lines, and I've seen them 4 or 5 times, because I actually do go to the treasurer's office and the different departments and visit with things on the agenda, and they're long. And they work very, very hard in that department. I had sat there actually a whole day with them just to see what they do, and it's not that they're slacking any. So anything we could do to help, I'm willing to help, but I just want to see where our budget is at this point.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think that's a great idea, Deb. I wonder if we could get because I think you need to move on this, am I right?
Yes.
I wonder if we could have the auditor come down and talk to us now.
Or, that's fine. Or at the end of the agenda or something, so she
Yeah,
has.
I think you would probably want to move it to the end of the agenda. I think she's conducting a sale right now.
Okay.
So I can check on that. Would that be possible to?
Mr. Chair, before we get too excited, I got a few questions about phone calls. About how many per day out of state?
I don't have it broke down to per day. I have it broke down by the month.
So you said 84.47 if I wrote this thing down for about.
84.47 for 2 months.
And that's about 45, 46 days roughly, working days. So that's about 200 calls a day. And average length of call is?
Can be anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes.
Average?
Yes. We're trying to picture what people have in front of them, because most of the time they don't know what they have in front of them. But I have checked to see if the phone company can stop the long-distance phone calls that are coming in between those hours, and the answer is no, they cannot.
Just some really, really rough figuring. That's, at 15 minutes average, that's 3,000 minutes a day, 480 minutes in a day, a work day. So we're looking at roughly 6 people, equivalent of 6 people answering the phone for out-of-staters. Just shut the phones off. Just shut the phone. Your job is to serve the people of Pennington County, not somebody from Arizona or California or Florida or wherever. How many of you have?
If I shut the phones off, I've shut down my communication for everybody that lives in Pennington County. Also. I'm just saying, I'm not serving the taxpayers of Pennington County either if I don't take their phone calls.
But your job is not to serve the taxpayers of the United States of America. It's for Pennington County, and you just said that half your phone calls are from out of state.
My job is to serve anybody that wants to be licensed in this county. Because the state says I will license them. And this is an open state. So,
Ms.
I mean,
Janet,
we've discussed shutting down.
How many people call the federal government, state government, any government, and get through every time? Your wait time will be 10 minutes, your wait time will be 15 minutes. In the IRS, you call them, and you might wait a couple days.
So, Ms. Janet, how would you tell if it was out of state or not? Does your phone say?
We have a system that we purchased when we put the phone system in over at the old courthouse a long time ago to make sure that we could tell how many calls were coming in, if the staff was adequately answering the phone, how much time they spent on the phone.
And you could tell if it was out of state or Pennington County?
Absolutely. I have reports this big. I've ran them all.
So in Pennington County, don't they have it in Meade and different places do they have the same phone numbers we have in Pennington County?
What do you mean, do they have the same phone numbers?
When George says just answer the ones in Pennington County that pay the taxes, is there a different phone number? Isn't 605 throughout the state?
605, well, no. There's people that live in South Dakota that have
No, what I'm saying is.
out-of-state phone numbers.
What I'm saying is Commissioner Farabee saying, do not answer anything out of Pennington County. They are the taxpayers. The rest of the people, we shouldn't answer the phone for because they're not paying the taxes of Pennington County. How do you distinguish that on the phone?
You don't.
That's my point.
You don't when you answer it.
So
Say, hi, I'm calling from Texas.
So I'm trying to figure out where we're going with that. And then the other thing is, I have a lot of people that live here that now have 712s and all different numbers that I do their hair, and they're Pennington County constituents as well. So I don't think you could just shut off the phones. Plus, that's a business. You're going to have more complaints on shutting off all those phones than you will on those lines, I can tell you right now, just from having a business.
So somebody from Arizona calls and asking about titling in South Dakota because they heard we don't have a wheel tax or we don't have whatever. And they're disappointed, they complain. So who in the hell cares? So who in the hell cares if somebody from Arizona looking for a good deal? Her job is to serve the people of Pennington County. And I can't imagine standing in line for a half hour, get up there and somebody picks up, at the counter, picks up the phone and answers an out-of-state call. That's just crazy. Just absolutely crazy.
Commissioner Farabee, she just told you she couldn't distinguish. So they answer the phone, you're out of state, hang up the phone. Is that what you're saying?
You're telling me
You're
that...
full of nonsense, Mr. Farabee.
That the phone company can't say, these prefixes are out of state. These are long-distance prefixes, and I'm guessing Wall New Wonder is probably long distance. You can't tell me you can't program the telephone to say, okay, we'll pick these up because they're local Pennington County and they're Wall New Underwood prefixes.
Absolutely.
In this modern day and age, we can't do that.
Commissioner Farabee, if you have a business, you wouldn't have it long. That's all I'm saying.
Her job is to serve the Pennington County residents.
Mr. Chair, can I
Okay,
maybe?
we're going to listen to Nick here a minute.
Nick Stroud, HR Director for Pennington County.
Jeez.
I'm here to support Janet. We worked through all of these scenarios. Some of them, we wanted to present all of the scenarios just to let you know that we cast a wide net on trying to solve the issues of the lines and the customer service we're providing to the citizens that are standing in line. When we worked through that, we came across the one that we're presenting, which is overhiring by 2 employees. Janet has natural attrition through her office. People come and go. It is a difficult job and it's not for everyone, and they don't usually figure that out for 3 to 6 months. They we do a really good job of onboarding, but someone has to come in and do it every day for weeks on end to figure out if this is the job for them. So this idea rose to the top because if we were to hire 3 people now, we were going to focus their work instead of doing blanket training like we've done in the past where you train everybody on every skill and they slowly build up. We're going to divide the work and we're going to make sure someone's an expert on each of those first. And so that will allow them to come fully on board faster and relieve some of the work that's on there. They can learn to answer the calls. So when the calls come in, we can have some of our new people answering the low-level calls, which would allow for the people who are in line to receive faster service because the person at the front line is not multitasking. And we feel that through attrition, that these positions, the current people that there's someone up there, we don't know who it is, but someone will leave through many sets of circumstances, and then we won't fill that position. So I don't think we'll be in this, if we use the past as any indicator, we won't be in an overhire position by this time next year. We can't guarantee that, but the past is the only indicator that we have to look for how that attrition affects the treasurer's office. When Janet said that we're denying vacations and we're asking people to rearrange doctor's appointments, we don't do that in most other departments or offices. If we have a calendar, people ask for a vacation, and once it's approved, that is given to them. But Janet has blackout periods, and as we are getting busier and busier, those blackout periods are growing more and more. So then when you do have an open period, you have 6 people requesting vacation because it's the only time they can take vacation. And then she can only give that to half of them, for example, then the other half have to get put back a couple months. And so these people aren't able to do their routine doctor's appointments and scheduled vacations that other departments have. And we anticipate this throughout the rest of 2016. Hopefully, by 2017, it won't be a new plate year and things will go back to normal, which her staff has shown in the 6 years I've been here that they're more than capable of handling. And so I would, this was not arrived at lightly. We've been working on this for months now. Well, actually since about the end of January when we realized this was going to be a bigger issue than we anticipated. And so I would lend my support and know that this isn't something we do often, but it wasn't done flippantly. It was done with a lot of research and a lot of trial and error through other options.
But Mr. Nick, I'm not opposed to the 2 people, because the other options that I've heard, I don't believe are gonna work. But I also know that we are gonna be using reserves for another department, and if, in order to supplement, plus we need to, you're saying that we could use some of the money from over-collected revenues. I would like to see those numbers, and I don't think today that we're just gonna be able to look at that and move forward. That's where I'm going today, because of, if we have to use reserves for one of the other departments, and then hire 2 more people, I'd like to see how all that's gonna work in our budget, and I don't think she can just, Ms. Janet could just work that out right in the front, now.
Mr. Chair, that's why I really thought Julie would be important to the conversation, because she definitely can do that sort of thing. She knows that.
And you're willing to work that state's attorney's budget into what we're talking about today?
Well, I think that she can explain where all of that will come from, what she's talking about, because she has a very good grasp on all of that.
Yeah, it's a pretty big shortfall, Miss Nancy, otherwise I probably wouldn't.
Mr. Chair, let's solve the problem, let's not solve the symptoms. This Pennington County shouldn't be the marketplace for license plates for the United States of America. So let's quit answering phone calls and talking 15 to 20 minutes. Somebody's shopping for a bargain on license plates. It's crazy. And titles, it's crazy. Let's quit doing that. That's the problem.
George, I am an agent for the state.
You can't get your license plate over the phone. You get it standing in line.
Well, do you want me to tell that to the Pennington County residents that call up and want to renew online? There's Pennington County residents that renew online. I am an agent for the state of South Dakota.
And your phone message can say, if you got to call Peer. That's another misconception.
I won't do that.
These license plates aren't Pennington County license plates, they're state of South Dakota license plates.
I'm entrusted, Lindell, to take the money for Pennington County. And as long as the state of South Dakota says anybody can license here, I am not gonna turn down money for Pennington County that can offset our road and bridge.
It's okay,
and our
Janet.
highway
He's one
fees.
of 5 saying this, so remember that.
I'm just telling you.
Thank you. He's one of 5.
So if you would like to
Okay,
postpone this till the end of the meeting, till I can come back with Julie?
Julie is here now. You've been referenced more than once in your absence.
You're back.
As long as
You're
it's
popular
true,
today.
that's okay. It's the lies I can't stand.
Julie, can I just tell Julie what, House Bill 1005, where they increased the boat fees, the titles, the lanes, I went back to 15, and it's going to generate in revenues that we hadn't considered last year of 139,000.
Goes effect what date, Jan?
July
July
1st.
1st, okay, half a year. This is half a year or a year?
Half a year.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get them to let me hire 2 new employees, and they would like to talk to you as far as how that will work.
As with any over-collected revenue, the board, on over-collected revenue, especially on a new law, when it goes into effect mid-year, of course, we could not consider that during budget time. So that money will still come in. It will show as an over-collection to our estimates, which are all the amount that we used for budgeting purposes to support the budget. So if we can overdo it, we can do a supplement from over-collected revenues for the 2 employees, up to the $139,000 if you wanted to do it now, if you wanted to wait till the end of the year. As long as we knew what you were going to do before we go into budgeting for 2017, because we make some assumptions on how much over and collected revenue and underspent budgets it will have. But I'm sure the calculations are very accurate and can assure you that that money will be there, and it will not affect cash reserves unless you don't hire those, and then of course it would. It would increase the cash reserves. But as long as we know about it before we go into budget, we take all that into a consideration and don't use it as cash surplus for the next year's budget.
So Miss Julie, that's 139,000 we would use for supplemented over collected revenue?
Yes.
For Janet. How about Mr. Vargos?
Mr. Vargos, as was indicated earlier, or excuse me, late in the year, that has to come straight out of cash reserves. He had an over-collected or underspent budget of approximately, what did he say, 200 and some. So the net will be less than $400,000, $375 to cash reserves
What's
as
that
a
do to our-
reduction.
What's that do to our budget?
It would increase your budget, and as long as we know about it going into the budgeting cycle, we won't use that amount of money to estimate what we have in cash reserves. But yes, it is directly a cash reserve supplement, his.
Yes, I'm not understanding cash reserve.
That's the extra money that you have. When you set a budget, you have your budget expense.
Right.
You have revenues that you say, this is how much we're going to bring in, we're going to tax this much, and that supports your budget.
Okay.
And they have to be balanced. If you have any extra left over from the year before, unspent budget, over collected revenue, we also apply that so it all comes out even.
So how much do you believe is going to be supplemented for, or not supplement, what's going to be the total of, or guesstimate of the over collected revenue this year?
It usually, it's in our budget document. It varies every year, and I do an average, and I make that assumption. When we approve budget, our budget reserve, or for cash flow reserves, was over the 20%, which is the board's minimum.
So it was over,
Yes.
and so we're not dipping past that 20% if we do the 139 and the 375.
The 139 is cash-supported cash reserve, so that's even Steven, if you will.
Okay?
The 603 minus the 229 will be a dip in cash reserves that once we calculate and start doing budget for 2017, I will be able to tell you. When we approved our 2016 budget, we were above the 20% reserve minimum. Not by much, but by enough that we met that budget goal. We increased it from the 18 that we had reduced it to and increased it to 20% to approve the budget.
And in order to, I believe, then, in order to get the best service for the Pennington County residents or people of South Dakota or otherwise, we're going to need to get the two people. After listening to where we could use the money, and I think that's what we're about, is the citizen and making sure they're getting the best service. And if they're buying their plates and stuff here, then so be it. They're giving us more revenue. And to not answer the phone when people are giving you more revenue because you believe it's just about Pennington County, wow. We'd be in trouble in South Dakota, wouldn't we? Because we're based on tourism and agriculture. So that don't make no sense to me. Just don't answer the phone for other people besides Pennington County.
Mr. Chair, will we
Wow,
be satisfied?
I have the floor, please. I have the floor, just like you tell us. So when you say that, tourism doesn't count and other people that come into South Dakota or Pennington County don't count, you better check those revenues, because they are big. I just looked at him. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, will we be satisfied when all the plates in the United States have got South Dakota on them and a 2 as a beginning number? Is that what we're looking at?
Yep, if that gives us revenues and we are in Pennington County are doing well, that would be awesome.
Okay, let's focus on the question that's in front of us. And I'm guessing we may even have enough information to make a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would make a motion to allow the Treasurer's Office to overhire 2 FTEs effective immediately and to use the over-collected funding coming in the last half of this year to pay for that. And then do the supplement for that the end of the year.
At the end of the year. Okay.
For 139,000?
Well, it might not be
Is that what
that
it was?
much.
Okay,
Might
second.
not be that much.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion on the motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been against using over-collected revenues because it does matter. It's money that we had that we aren't going to have anymore. However, I'm going to vote in favor of this, and I'm going to add it to the 1.6 million that we lost when we voted against the wheel tax.
Okay, any other comments?
Mr. Chair, I got to tag on to that. The 1.6 million, I still, and I see a highway superintendent shaking his head, as he should, that fictitious number has gained traction, and everybody thinks that we're losing that money. Well, that's a fictitious number, so let's quit using it. Unless there's a basis, unless there's some evidence, and I shouldn't have to tell a lawyer, especially a law school lawyer, you need evidence. And somebody's hearsay isn't evidence. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments?
Yeah, if you knew what you were talking about, you'd be dangerous.
Okay.
Keep
Roll
going.
call.
Buskerud?
Yes.
Farabee?
Wait, the public, you're gonna let the public talk?
Farabee?
You're gonna let the public talk?
I asked for any other comments.
That individual's been standing there,
Well, he's
and
been
Commissioner
standing
Buskerud
there.
interrupted him.
Come forward and provide your comments.
Hi, James Bialotta. I just got off the phone with Pierre, and there's a little bit of a misnomer. We are not allowed to register residents of other counties in Pennington County.
Right.
We are allowed to register out-of-state residents.
Right.
And if the revenue is so severe that it justifies hiring new positions, I'm all for it. But in addition to what they're saying about their peak hours, I can understand them wanting to lower the call load down, even to maybe 30, with a message saying, please call us back at our non-peak hours, with an addendum if it's an emergency, and give them the Pier number at that time. I'm not suggesting we give all our money to Pier or give it away to somebody else, but to lighten their load to non-peak hours and explain in the message, if you'd like quicker service, call back during these hours. You'll get through a lot
Good idea.
faster, and if it's an emergency, please call Pier.
I think that's where we're heading.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In response to that, they're not, why would they call Pier? The work has to be done in the county it is in. And let me correct Mr. Bellato, I did not say that we license for other counties. We do not license for other counties. We're very strict about that. They license in the county they live in. We only license for out-of-state people because it doesn't matter what county they live in.
Said that a couple times.
Okay.
Okay, we got a motion.
Any other comments?
I think we're good.
Roll call.
Buskerud?
Yes.
Farabee?
No.
Adcock?
Aye.
Troutman?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Miss
And,
Julie.
Nick, thank you. Next item is item 20.
Good morning, Commissioner. Shannon Rittberger, Director of Equalization.
Good morning.
More abatements, more of the same that we've been doing for the last couple of meetings. They're broke up into the rural townships where they're located, and that's the only reason, is the auditor grouped them in townships and mailed them to the township first. They're all situations where the federal government has purchased or traded for property through the tax year, with the exception of the town of Quinn. For whatever reason, the town of Quinn bought some property. That's all that these are. I don't know why you couldn't make a motion and a vote for all of them at once.
That'd be my motion, to include 1, 2, and 3 on the abatements to request them.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, discussion on the motion. If not, roll call.
Buskerud?
Yes.
Farabee?
Yes.
Adcock?
Aye.
Troutman?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes, motion carried. I like you, Ty.
Thank you.
That is cool.
Next item is item 21.
Morning, Tom Wilsey, Highway Department.
Good morning.
I guess it's still morning.
That's a miracle, isn't it?
First item here is...
Tom, if you wouldn't come to work in the middle of the night, you.
I know, I come plenty early. Is authorization to go to bid for bridge replacement structures 52-638-360 and structure 52-664-360 along Baseline Road. We anticipate letting this as a single project for the two structures on Baseline Road. These two bridges will be replaced with box culverts. One structure was closed until we installed a temporary detour. You probably remember that from a year ago. The other is a posted structure to the west of that with piling which are deteriorating, and it's just a matter of time before we have to replace it anyway. We figured by doing both of these at the same time, we can probably get better price for the construction. I forgot to put on here the cost of the construction. We anticipate to be in that $250,000 range, unless we get real good bids like we did on our last ones.
For each or both?
For the two of them. And the cost of the box will be about $120,000 for us all, in addition to that. That's what we anticipate.
Well, Mr. Tom, how come you're taking bridges and putting culverts? Can you do that to save money?
Hydraulically, we can do this, and it saves us money.
So do we check all over the county where we can replace bridges with culverts to save money?
When we get a structure that we're going to replace, that's one of the options we always look at. Always.
I appreciate that,
Because
Tom.
it's cheaper to put in a box, and in the long run, it's a lot cheaper for the county.
So I'll ask you the obvious, why did they put bridges instead of culverts back in the day, or is it that old?
You'd have to ask somebody from back in 1940 and
Okay,
1950.
never mind.
That's
Thank
when
you.
these structures were built.
Sir, I appreciate that.
If I may, Mr. Chair, the concrete technology has come along a bit in the last 50 years, correct?
Yes, quite
So
a bit. The precast boxes that we're anticipating are a lot cheaper than they were even 15 years ago.
And that's fairly new technology.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, funding of these bridges, these replacements are provided in our budget. We budgeted for it. We just had to get through all the federal paperwork to get the authorization to do it.
I'll make the motion to authorize for bid bridge replacements 52638-360 and STR 52664-360, Baseline Road.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second.
And Mr. Chair, if I might, now that's $250 for the installation, 100 and another 120 for the material.
That is what we
The bridges. So we're
anticipate.
looking at,
That's what we've got budgeted for, yes.
looking at close to 400,000 for the two bridges
A little over,
installed.
yes.
And hopefully the bidding will come out like the bidding at,
I am certainly hoping so.
okay. And the spin-off of North Dakota's, I won't say collapse, but decline has certainly been it's a bonus for us.
This year it was.
And I guess I would, Mr. Chair, I'd encourage the highway superintendent to press on with any more. If this bid comes in, like the Palmer Gulch one, to press on with more projects.
It's his job. Good job.
And then in his spare time, he can figure out where that 1.6 million came from.
I think you already told us, George, you just didn't listen. Thank you.
Any further comments on the motion? Roll call.
Buskerud,
Yes.
Farabee,
Yes.
Hadcock,
Aye.
Troutman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes. Motion carried.
Is there anybody out of state using this that we should call, maybe have a toll or something for them since they're using our park? I'm just kidding.
On this road, no.
Just checking.
Item B, the Burt Mason Rockford Road issue. Just making sure he wasn't here. He told me he probably wasn't going to be here, so.
Okay.
Commissioner Farabee and I went up and met with Mr. Mason last Wednesday. This all spurred because of posts that he had put in next to the road. And my crew last October asked me to have them removed. I had to go through, well, it's taken since October to figure out who, if anybody, owns what land in that area. And when I finally figured it out, I sent him this letter saying, remove the posts or we will. That prompted his reaction at the commission meeting last time. And we had a meeting with him. Right now, it stands that we are going to figure out something that hopefully will work for both of us. Right now, I don't know what it is. We got to brainstorm and figure it out. I told him to ignore the letter for the time being, and we will get back to him and meet with him at a later date.
Thank you, Tom. That was nice to find solution with him.
Well, I haven't found the solution yet, but I'm hoping we will.
I believe you will. You've worked on many projects, and I've worked with you, and we've came up with some, as a commission, some pretty good solutions for people to help them. So thank you, Tom.
Mr. Chair, if I might add a little reality to the situation, the situation as it is, the best solution is going to be bad. And let's leave it that way. And I guess until you go look at something like that, you don't realize how bad it could be or actually is.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. Thanks, Tom.
You bet.
Anything further on that issue? If not, we'll move on to item 22.
Good morning. I'm Andrew Vague with Woodstock Supply, and came to you to ask for an exception to ordinance 14 so we can build an approach at the east end of our property. Woodstock Supply is planning to build a warehouse at the eastern portion of our property. And adding access to the east end will just improve the overall flow of the traffic. Currently, all the traffic has to funnel through the approach at the far east end of the property. As you can see from the drawing, or maybe it doesn't say it on there, but our overall property frontage, I think, is 627 feet, so it's long. And putting an approach at the far east end will not only improve our access, but it improves the access to I-90 cold storage and Smoking Gun. They park trucks on the backside of his property, so they either have to funnel around on the side of his building or come through our property to get in and out. So it just kind of makes sense all the way around for both of us.
Sir, do we control the service roads?
Yes.
So, Tom, when you looked at this, what do you think?
The county has authorization for the south service road. Yes, we control the access. We are the ones that approve the accesses, yes.
And you're okay with this access?
We went out and looked at it, and there is good sight distance, and we feel it would be a safe location for the approach, yes.
So I would move approval of the request,
Second it.
the variance to ordinance 14.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. I can't let you off too easy.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, there's no other comments, so we'll have a roll call.
Buskerud?
Aye.
Farabee?
Yes.
Hadcock?
Aye.
Troutman?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, items from planning and zoning.
Hold on 1 second. Lost and found glasses? PJ Conover, Director of Planning Department. Item 23, the Board of Commissioners uses a consent agenda to act on non-controversial and routine planning and items quickly. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and vote of the board. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of a board member or a citizen. The consent agenda for planning and zoning contains the following item. Item A, second reading of rezone 1602 and comprehensive plan amendment 1601 for Kevin and Gail Tome. Fisk Land serving as the agent, and approval has been recommended.
Does anyone wish any item on the consent agenda removed? If not, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion.
Just want to notice there's a comprehensive amendment. This is a second reading of a rezone, and we do change comprehensive plans many times. Thank you.
Roll call.
Buskerud?
Aye.
Farabee?
Yes.
Hadcock?
Aye.
Troutman?
Yes.
Peterson?
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Item B.
Good morning, Cassie Bolstead, Assistant Planning Director. Item B is appeal of a conditional use permit CU 1539 for Bellwether Limited Partnership. Janice and Roger Knutson are the agents. This conditional use permit was approved on February 22nd by the Planning Commission to allow a recreational vehicle to be utilized as temporary living quarters from May through September of each year with 13 conditions. On February 26th, an appeal of the Planning Commission's decision was filed with the Planning Department. Based on the date of the appeal was filed, it is scheduled to be heard at this Board of Commissioners meeting, However, the applicants, Janice and Roger Knutson, have requested that the appeal be continued to the April 19th, 2016 meeting, as they are currently out of the country. And the Planning Department has notified the appellants of the continuation request, and they are okay with it.
That'd be my motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? I guess I would ask the question of your department. the volume of material that is accompanying this issue obviously costs a lot of staff time and other expense. And does the fact that we continue this to another date require that this all be done over again, or is this going to carry over?
PJ, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it will be in a packet again for the 19th.
Yeah, basically staff time to print it all off again.
Okay.
Plus the paper and the ink. And I guess I've had, since you brought the issue to light, Mr. Chair, the items continued, well, why is it even on the agenda? And certainly the paperwork supporting it is, to me, like a commissioner used to say that sit over here on the left at the other building, this is silly, absolutely asinine. Mr. Kerstead used to say, this is just plain silly or crazy, and this is crazy.
I am more than happy to recycle. So if you commissioners would like to leave your packets in front of them, I will collect them all and we will reuse them for the next meeting agenda. There's no sense in redoing all this work, wasting the paper, wasting the time. I do this with items anyway that are continued. If you leave your packets up there, I go through them, pull out the continuations, and you're none the wiser. So we already do that practice.
Good for you.
So,
thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, PJ, and your staff. You do an awesome job, and I've worked with you many times with the public, and you do a great job. So on some of this, we asked the question, but now we know. So maybe we could find a solution for you instead of tell you this is just asinine. So that would be probably a better way to do it. Thank you, PJ.
Appreciate that.
Mr. Chair, if I might, I'm going to have to get hold of Mr. Webster and see if we can redefine awesome.
Got to redefine slow as well, George.
Okay, roll call.
Buskerud?
Aye.
Farabee?
Yes.
Hadcock?
Aye.
Troutman?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Items from the chair, I would report to you that I went to Chamberlain last Thursday in the presence and company of Dan Baker, who is a former State Rail Authority board member, transportation expert. We attended the annual meeting of the MRC, which is the Mitchell to Rapid City Rail Authority. And at this point in time, the thing that's significant, and I'm not sure I fully understand it yet, but the State Rail Board took the indebtedness of that authority unto itself, so that any implications relative to taxation in Pennington or any of the other counties that are participating has been removed. And it's also interesting to note that all the other counties in the rail authority combined population is not equal to Pennington counties. And we're the ones that have 65 miles of rail right-of-way with no rail. In the mix of things, and in a discussion down there, if I understood it correctly, the right-of-way is a purchased right-of-way that the state owns. And I suggested they put it out for grazing leases, but that wasn't official. Anyway, I do think it's, at this point in time, still pertinent that Pennington County remain a member of this MRC. And in talking with Dan Baker, who handled transportation for the cement plant for years. We may at some point in time want to invite in shippers and other people with interests to talk about the overall transportation system as it relates to rails, and possibly at that time decide whether we do or do not have a reason to continue to belong to that. But, and I asked Mr. Baker if he would be willing to serve as an advisor to any meeting or group that we put together, and he indicated he was. So I think it was productive. Okay, do we have any other comments from commission members?
This is about committees, you said? This is about committees?
No,
Not yet? Okay.
that's later.
Do you want to comment about the meeting with the mayor's folks?
Go ahead.
Well, the Sheridan Lake Road stoplight isn't going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately, I guess, and I think probably people need to be aware of that. We're working there that way, but, and the other thing was Hawthorne Ditch, I guess that was kind of quiet, but the 3-mile zoning area, we need to really keep, pay attention to what's going on in the 3-mile area and come up with a solution to the problem, and that is a significant problem for the city and the county.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I don't know, Commission, this is the item number 24, talked about the decision that the regional director, let's see what's his official title, regional director for the BIA made. There's some few comments I'd like to make about this. And they have the total tax revenue of Pennington County is $7 billion. I think that's probably an error. And that's made several times in that document. The page 13 talks about the one of the reasons for trust status is protect members from the encroachment of foreign jurisdictions, including Pennington County, and that's quite disturbing to me. Another comment here, and unfortunately the sheriff is not here to hear this. The federal and tribal law enforcement are fully competent to manage law enforcement at Page Law, and the state and county officials are not required to participate. I don't think that's what we negotiated. There was other comments, and the decision, and I think we got 30 days to appeal the decision, and my understanding is that the regional director made the decision, and if nothing happens in 30 days, it becomes trust status, becomes a foreign government up there. And it was mentioned to Commissioner Trump before the meeting, have been concerned and will continue to be concerned about the road that goes through there. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but sometime down the road, that road could be blocked off from normal travel. And thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
George, I think that's a lot of really good information that could we put that on the agenda, do you think, next time, and talk about a letter? Are you thinking that?
Well, at this point, I don't know what we can do. I
think we should be on record.
Well,
creating the misinformation and I just think we should respond.
I agree, Ms. Troutman, because you could read pieces of parts into that and make it sound bad as well. So I did read it as well, and it does go on past that on their jurisdiction and stuff. So you could read a piece of it, and it says, sheriff and stuff doesn't have any jurisdiction, but then if you read the rest of it further down, it also says in there that they worked with the county, and they believe that the county had some good points, and blah, blah, blah. In the long run, do we have that jurisdiction? I don't think so, but I think they worked out some really good deals, and it says in there that they worked with us, and that's going to be used for sacred land, and it keeps repeating sacred land and religious purposes. So it's not going to be, and people keep thinking this, a reservation where people live. There's one, and if you keep reading it, it keeps repeating, there would be one caretaker on that property, otherwise used for religious or basically to do their ceremonies. So I think it's a good thing that we bring it up and we talk about it, because I did read that whole paper and I went through it last night. So there's some really good stuff in there. And if you know the Native people, in a sense, for religion and ceremonies, that's pretty sacred. So you can take it as something else, but it keeps saying it over and over again in there to repeat that, so most of us will understand it's not just a place for Native people to just go live and hang out.
Mr. Chair, if I might, black and white, it says the federal and tribal law enforcement are fully competent to manage law enforcement at Peixe. And the state, and underscore this, and the state and county officials are not required to participate. The sheriff would certainly like to hear that. Now, can I ask the highway superintendent a question about the road?
I would say we put this on the agenda so we
Well-
have the packet with us. That way, we have all the information. I agree with Ms. Troutman, instead of George throwing some more stuff out there to people, and then we
You
don't
know,
have all the information.
you interrupted me, I had the floor. Okay?
Yes, but you make too many
I had
things
the
up,
floor.
George.
Now,
right.
I'd like to know if that road, if there's been any more research done on that road. Does that road
Then we
belong to
should put
us?
it on the agenda, George, so he can look it up instead of you
Okay.
guess.
Keep
Okay,
interrupting,
okay.
please.
Let's,
You know what that's all
let's
about.
think about what we're doing here.
Put it on the agenda.
We're sure as hell not following Robert's Rules of Order.
The issue and the question regarding the road, if it's valid that we put it on the next agenda, supporting information can be provided in the packet and we can address it in a reasonable manner.
And that's my point, sir.
Okay, we're going to go on to legislative session. Holly, do you have anything? Okay, we have a packet of the disposition of the bills, and I think we're done with that. Committee reports.
Went to the Fair Board, it was about a 3-hour meeting. Talked about the event center, we need to do some improvements. On the event center, we have some humidity problems. The stock show update was pretty awesome. We had a great stock show. That also is from many people out of town that support the stock show and make it very successful. So we appreciate everybody that in South Dakota or otherwise that participate in that stock show, because it's pretty amazing. It's one of the bigger events for South Dakota. So a job well done to the people at the Civic Center and the Fair Board that make this happen every year, because it's pretty amazing if you ever go to them. They have many events, and they're planning on, if they can, expanding that stock show to more days. So that's a big plus to Rapid City and Pennington County for the future. So it was a great meeting.
Okay, any other committee reports? Public comment period. Anyone from the public that wishes to address the commission? If not, we do have executive session. Do we have a motion? Oh, excuse me.
Move to go in
Did you raise your
executive
hand,
session.
sir?
No, he's the same way. I do.
Okay. Do we have a motion for executive session?
Move to go into executive session.
There a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Buskerud?
Yes.
Farabee?
Yes.
Hadcock?
Yes.
Troutman?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, we need a motion to come out of executive session.
What's that?
Move to
Motion.
come on a executive session.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Buskerud?
Aye.
Farabee?
Yes.
Hadcock?
Aye.
Troutman?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes. Motion carried. Nick?
Good morning again, Nick Strud, HR Director for Pennington County. The motion I'm requesting today, coming out of executive session, is to reclass employee Mike Cool to a grade 22, step 28, effective March of 2016.
That'd be my motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Roll call.
Buschrood,
No.
Farabee,
No.
Adcock,
Aye.
Troutman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes. Motion carried. Any other motions?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Buschrood,
Aye.
Farabee,
Yes.
Adcock,
Aye.
Troutman,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes. Okay, we are adjourned.